welcome to Hook Connections today. We hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I'm Barbara Hook with Hook Connect, and my co-host is Gina Scott Hawkins with Star Media. Today we have a very exciting guest. It should be exciting to everyone out there. It's Greg Holton with Kendall Inventory Services. I've known Greg for a long time because he was in the insurance industry so long and actually worked at a company where I worked. And the reason I invited him on here is not only is he a Hook Connect endorsed partner, but he also is all about the education. So when he does a home or business inventory, he's a licensed insurance agent still, so he takes out that insurance policy and compares what you have and versus what you really need. So Greg, welcome, and we are so glad to have you. It's, people think insurance is not an exciting topic, but it is when you go to have if you have an insurance claim, a catastrophic claim. Tell us why you got out of the insurance business and why you're doing what you're doing.
Okay, I'll be happy to do that, Barb. And you told me to be honest. So I can tell you after 25 years, and again, we were in the business together. I was in the business for about 25 years, and you were there maybe a little longer than that, but our paths crossed at my final destination in the insurance business. And after 25 years, I felt like, you know what, enough is enough. Back when I started in the mid-'80s, insurance, specifically property and casualty insurance, was already starting to become a commodity. People would just buy it based on price and not based on what they really needed. And so then it was just, if you're the lowest price in town, you get the business, and if you're not, then you're not. All companies go through cycles. Well, after 25 years of going through these cycles with various insurance companies, finally on the last stop, I decided, you know what, I think I've had enough of the insurance business. I've got a lot of knowledge built up. Surely I can parlay that into something else. And so that was the birth of Kendall Inventory back in mid-2009. I got the idea that every time I would deliver a homeowner's policy, I would always tell the insured, hey, you need to definitely take pictures and make an inventory of what you own, because if you ever have a claim in your home, you're not going to be dealing with me anymore. I can make you feel good about what I'm selling to you is going to protect you, but you're going to be dealing with an adjuster, and they have a whole different idea about what their job is. Their job is to settle a claim, and that's what they're there to do. And so and people would always say, hey, this is really a good idea, I really need it, but then I'd leave and they'd never do it. And so that's when I decided, after this long in the insurance business, I'm going to create a company that's going to do this for people. And then when I'm doing it, I'm going to actually compare, I'm going to analyze the insurance they got in place, so that if they do have a claim, they'll not only I'll give them recommendations, they'll not only have the right insurance in place, we hope, but they'll also have the proof of what they owned. So they should have no trouble settling a claim to their advantage. They'll be on level ground with the adjuster.
Right. And the thing I like about what you do, you not only help the consumer who's had that inventory done, but you feel comfortable being able to tell them, none of your art or none of this is scheduled on your policy, but you also give that current insurance agent an opportunity, if they pick up the phone and call their agent, to increase the policy, which is going, people are so underinsured right now, and it's really frightening. I mean, I know I have an inventory with you, and to this day I pull that binder out every once in a while and I look through it, and what do I not have anymore, what do I have, and tell people how you can help them keep track of that after you do the inventory, and should they go buy something new, or should they get rid of something, and how you work that.
Well, what I really did, Barb, is I really changed how people viewed me. When you're an agent, people know you're there to sell them something. Mm-hmm. Well, by the time I showed up on the scene with my inventory, they'd already bought what I was selling, which was the inventory. The insurance piece, the analysis piece, I made it clear. I don't sell insurance anymore. I'm just a professional consultant about insurance. So when I make my written recommendations, they know they can take those back to their insurance agent and talk to them about and make a decision about whether they want to increase coverage or change coverage. But I try to put them on an even keel with their insurance agent so that they know that they may be there to buy something, but the insurance agent is not necessarily selling it to them. They're actually requesting it.
Right, right. And, I know one incident that I recall you doing not long, I don't believe, after you started and bought this business, was when you had to go in and sift through the ashes after a total fire loss to try to help discover what they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a little humbling? I mean, to have that customer there with you and trying to figure out what was in that little sieve of ashes,
Well, this is strange that you asked this, because in the first 18 months I was in business, I did 2 disaster inventories. One, the insured called me because they found me on the internet. Another, a restoration company called me because they found me on the internet as well. That was in the first 18 months, 4 years ago, and I can tell you in the last 45 days, I've done 3 disaster recovery inventories.
Oh my.
So that's really been the direction that my business has taken, is that people find me after the fact, and I can help them. The problem is when people go through a disaster like this, they can't remember anything. Mm-hmm. They literally are walking around in their yard wondering what's happening. And as I like to tell folks, when you go through a disaster inventory, where the first thing the insurance adjuster says is, hey, fill out your proof of loss statement. Here's a claim form. Go down to Kinko's and make as many copies as you need, and then file this, and in 60 days we'll start the process. This surprises most people. At that point, they can barely remember their own name. How are they going to remember when their house is a total loss, what they're going to claim? And the answer is they can't.
And, I like your tagline, if you can't remember, you won't recover.
That's correct.
We are going to take a short break. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Logan Street Signs and Banners, and we will be back shortly.
Everyone knows it's easy to find first-run movies in the big theaters. But where can you go to watch your favorite classic movies on the big screen for the perfect night out? Why rent a flick when you can rent the entire theater? Call today to reserve our 32-seat theater for your next event, or just stop by to see what's showing this weekend. The 14 by 7 foot screen and the high quality digital surround sound system offers all the amenities you would expect from the big theaters, with a laid back atmosphere and comfortable seating of your own home. Wofford Theater at 1744 South 10th Street in Noblesville gives you the classic movies you want with a big theater experience.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street Signs and Banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Welcome back to Hook Connections, and we are here with Greg of Kendall Inventory, and we were talking about some of the ways that he can assist businesses and residential and business, right, with inventory needs. you've probably had a lot of interesting things that you've had to inventory over the course of your business. Give us some examples of what types of businesses are good fits, and what kinds of things people are inventorying, and why that's important.
Business-wise, a good fit is any kind of a professional practice.
Okay.
Could be an insurance agent's office, financial planners, dentists, lawyers, doctors, chiropractors. I've done all those types of professional type offices. Now, what I'm not looking for in the commercial side is I don't want to go in and inventory wine bottles in a wine shop. I don't want to do convenience stores. I don't want to really do any kind of a retail store. What those folks are primarily interested in is what's called a financial inventory. They're doing an inventory to try to find out what their turnover is and possibly what their pilferage is.
Okay.
The wine bottles wouldn't be bad.
Well, you know, I can always make an exception, but I don't want to do those because I realize those folks are looking for a financial inventory.
Okay.
And there's companies out there that professionally do that already. What
Okay.
I'm looking for is doing an inventory for disaster recovery purposes primarily and estate planning purposes.
Okay.
On the business side, it was be primarily for disaster recovery, and it could possibly be for valuation of the business, possibly for sales,
Okay.
a sale of a business. On the residential side, we're doing it primarily for disaster recovery and also estate planning purposes, dissolution of an estate. So these are all valid reasons why you'd want to have an inventory done.
Haven't you even helped a school system too in the past?
I have. No, I don't like to do that, but I did get a call from a major school system here in the state of Indiana, and they wanted us to come up and do a complete inventory of all of their computer hardware inside the school system, which ended up being 15 different schools within the school system. It was a big job. We did it very successfully, but it was really a job. It was really work, and I prefer to be more niche-y,
Sure.
you might say, with just the residential and the small businesses.
So I have a friend who has a music studio. Would that be a good
Yeah.
fit for someone who
Matter
needs
of fact,
to
I
do?
have already done a music studio before.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with that.
Okay.
Going in and inventory and all the guitars and all the different musical instruments. So yeah, I've had experience in that.
Okay. And so when you say disaster, does that include theft, or are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Anything where you're going to have to deal with the insurance company might be typically it's going to be a burglary, a theft, it could a fire, or maybe it's a tornado type situation where the home is no longer there. There's
Yeah.
just a foundation there. Your home's over in the next county. Well, think of how that would be to try to settle that claim.
Wow. Yeah.
Or
Very,
look
very
at the
bad.
explosions down on the south side, how
Yeah.
many
Absolutely.
houses were
That kind of
destroyed,
thing,
you know.
that kind of thing as well. That's very unusual.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's just a once in a lifetime deal there. But really fires, primarily fires, they happen all the time.
Yeah.
It's just that all of us are so enclosed in our own worlds anymore that you almost don't recognize that they happen.
Yeah.
Even when you see it on the news or in the newspaper, it's almost like it's happening somewhere else. It's just not happening in my neighborhood.
Right.
But you got to realize that's somebody else's neighborhood. And there's fires all over just Marion County and the surrounding counties every day.
Yeah.
People just don't realize it.
So you will come into a business or a home, prepare the inventory, provide it to them, and then that's a document that they could use to file their insurance claims with, and hopefully get a return.
We go a little bit farther than that. What we do is we come into a home or a business. We take pictures of literally everything you own, and then we have a room by room spreadsheet that documents all the major items in that room.
Wow.
Model number, serial number, brand name. In fact, what we're doing is it's a pre-filled out claim sheet.
Okay.
It's designed on a standard company claim form so that by the time you get to the claim, it's just a matter of filling in a few additional items and we're ready to go within 24 hours. So what I do is the pictures the room-by-room spreadsheet, the insurance analysis, and then at the point of a claim, literally, since I'm still a licensed insurance agent, I don't practice selling, but I do consult. So I actually can be a representative with the insurance, dealing with their insurance company directly.
Wow.
In their stead, in fact,
Yeah.
to get all this filled out the way the insurance company wants it and the adjuster wants it.
Yeah.
So they actually really like this process because it makes the adjuster's job easy. They're
Right.
not there to bilk somebody out of money that's owed them. They're only there to settle the claim. Well, if you can produce the right claim form and the right proof, because you do have to prove ownership
Oh,
at
yeah.
the point of a claim.
Yeah.
People don't realize that.
Yeah.
At the point of a claim, you've got to show your insurable interest in each object. Well, with pictures and a form filled out, especially by a third-party professional, that's never a question.
It looks a lot more legit, especially since you have all those years.
Well,
in
it is.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we keep it up to date for a small subscription fee. Every year we update it. We add what needs to be added in. We take out what needs to be taken out. So once you get the major job done, then perpetually keeping it up to date is actually relatively easy.
So then is that a document or a file that you have saved off-site so that if their house burns down?
We have a regular portfolio that we put together that's a hard copy portfolio so that people can see it and feel it and see
Yeah.
that it's a tangible thing. But we actually have four-way redundancy. The
Okay.
client's got a copy. We burn all of that to a disk and put it in our company lockbox at the bank. We also have a complete portfolio in our office of the same exact information. I take all the rest of the information and download it to an off-site secure encrypted server.
Wow.
So we've got four-way redundancy. So when I give a person their portfolio, I assume that they're going to put it up on the shelf just like they do all their important documents.
Sure.
And if their home disappears, that portfolio is going to disappear right with it, which I encourage them. Keep it in your home and show all your friends, neighbors, and relatives, because
they
I'd
can
like
call
to,
ya.
I'd like to have them as clients too. But I assume that that'll disappear,
Yeah.
which is fine, because if they call me literally and said my home burnt down last night, I can have a brand new portfolio to them in 12 hours and be there when they meet their adjuster.
Wonderful. Can you give everybody your website address real quick before we take another break?
Yeah, it's www.kendallinventoryservice.com.
Okay, we'll be right back.
You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Everyone knows it's easy to find first-run movies in the big theaters. But where can you go to watch your favorite classic movies on the big screen for the perfect night out? Why rent a flick when you can rent the entire theater? Call today to reserve our 32-seat theater for your next event, or just stop by to see what's showing this weekend. The 14 by 7 foot screen and the high quality digital surround sound system offers all the amenities you would expect from the big theaters, with a laid back atmosphere and comfortable seating of your own home. Wofford Theater at 1744 South 10th Street in Noblesville gives you the classic movies you want with a big theater experience.
Welcome back to Hook Connections, and today our guest is Greg Holton with Kendall Inventory Services. We've just found out an abundance of information in the first two segments, and the next segment, or this segment, I would like to discuss how Kendall Inventory Service differentiates itself from other inventory companies, and is everybody priced the same? Do you go do the valuation, or how do people know what kind of value to put on their actual contents of their home or business?
Okay, first question, how do we differentiate ourselves from the marketplace? I've done my research, and I believe I've looked at pretty much all the viable inventory services that are in the United States. And surprisingly, there's not that many of them that are really that viable, that are ongoing businesses. I'd say there's less than 150 in the entire country. Of those 150, I've researched every one of them, and I can't find another one that's owned by a licensed insurance agent. So I think I'm the only person in the country. There's a lot of different inventory services, but my belief is if you don't have the extensive knowledge about the insurance that I do, well, then you can go in and take all the pictures and do all the documentation you want in the world, but if you don't know how that relates back to the insurance, well, then you've got only half of what you need when the adjuster shows up. Because when the adjuster shows up, if you're trying to handle this on your own, you're going to lose that battle. It's real simple as that. You got to have somebody that's a professional expert that understands the industry, that understands the language, and understands how a settlement actually comes about. It's the old saying goes, if you try to go up with your adjuster to get your settlement, it's like the old adage, if you go into a court of law and you use yourself as a lawyer, you got the worst client in town, and you're going to lose that. Because you're an amateur going up against professionals. So it's the same way when you're talking about settling an insurance claim. As far as pricing, I don't know how they price. I price by the square foot on smaller homes. Under 4,000 square foot, quite frankly, I price 25 cents a square foot. When you get into a larger, and that includes everything. That includes the analysis, the inventory, the whole thing.
Wow.
When I get above 4,000 square foot home, I actually discount because it's actually easier for me to go in and perform it because they're laid out by a designer arrangement. They don't just have stuff just crammed in. And that's really how when somebody calls me up, I basically say, well, let me get an idea what your home's like. When you open your windows up, does stuff start falling out? And if they laugh, then I know, hey, full price. Because literally stuff can fall out. It's like the old Goodwill ad where they open the door up and the stuff starts falling out.
And that little black dress.
Yeah, sometimes people's homes are like that too.
Yeah.
But really it's easier the larger the home is. And so I give discounts. It generally ends up being on the larger homes about a 30% discount off of our standard, just say street price. So that's kind of the way the pricing goes on it.
Well, and I remember after you've started in this business, and you were probably in it a couple years, I referred you to someone in southern Indiana, and I actually went with you to introduce you to the owner of this home. He had lots of art, and he had collector's cars.
I remember that.
And he had an entire room in his house full of nothing but records.
I remember that.
And a closet full. And he had no listing of anything, and none of it was covered under his homeowner's policy.
That's right.
And, it's just really scary. Sometimes people, the collections that they have, and they have no clue that nothing is covered. And jewelry, people don't understand sometimes that jewelry on an insurance, on your policy, on your homeowner's policy, that includes costume jewelry too. So if you have jewelry that needs to be scheduled, you need to schedule it separate on a renter's or a homeowner's policy.
I've learned over the years how to deal with that, Barb. I remember the case. The guy wouldn't budge. He saw no need in it. And I've learned just to accept that. And basically, the way I prospect for people right now is I just ask them, do you have trusted advisors that you go to? Do you deal with a CPA, a financial planner, an investment planner, an estate planning attorney? If they say yes, I just tell them I'm a trusted advisor to those types of trusted advisors. If you have their services, it means you're a very detail-oriented person. You like your I's dotted and your T's crossed, but you also know that you don't have time to do all this stuff. So that's why you hire them. It's the same reason why you hire me. I come in and take care of all the details at a very economical, reasonable price. Basically, when I get done, they say, hey, Greg, this is a no-brainer. You really ought to charge more. But I don't, because I like them to refer me to the people that they're friends with, and I get plenty of business that way.
And real quick, just give us your phone number, because this is going to be on the radio also.
Phone numbers, area code 317-509-8138.
Name a couple, or tell us about a couple of the most unique inventories that you've done.
I guess the most unique inventory I think I've done to date, there's a couple of them. One of them was a home up in northern Hamilton County that I called the Castle. It was a 12,500 square foot home. It literally looked like a castle, and when I banged on the door with the big door knocker, it felt like I was in a castle. And when the guy came that owned the castle, he came in the middle of winter with shorts, a t-shirt, and flip-flops on, and he said, come on in. And inside it looked like a castle. So it was really very unique. That's the one that really sticks out in my mind, though. I always refer to it as the Castle.
Okay. Are there any of your clients who have had really unique collections of things, or any special artifacts that
I get into all that kind of stuff. This particular guy that owned the castle had a weapons collection. It was a walk-in weapons locker. There was about 200 weapons in there that were displayed like they were in a museum.
Wow.
So that was really interesting. You get your standard doll collections, record collections, baseball card collections all the time.
So you've pretty much seen it all then?
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so there's nothing that would scare you?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, it seems like you're very, very educated and informed in your industry, and there's probably a lot of people that are in our viewing or listening area that could benefit from utilizing your services. Can you give them that website one more time?
Again, it's www.kendallinventoryservice.com. You can contact me through the website, or call the telephone number. I answer my phone. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
And you can also listen to this live streamed show. Go see it on YouTube, and the channel is Hook Connect, and it would be under Hook Connections in today's date. So next week we have a great guest. It is Judy Brothers, the Fudge Lady. So we will see you all next week.